And the Cowboys kind of were trying to blow this one. They were trying to let the Bears back into it in this bizarre uniform combination that I didn't think was allowed, with no one wearing white jerseys. Get off of our collective lawns. I just don't know what dispensation you get from 345 Park Avenue that it's blue jerseys for the Cowboys and the orange jerseys for the Bears. I don't mind how it looks because it sufficiently clashes that you know who's on what team. That's the whole purpose of it. You want to know who's on what team. So one team wears dark jersey, one team wears white jersey. But you can have two different colored jerseys, except when it's Bills, Jets, Color Rush, and colorblind people are trying to watch the game. That's a problem. Other than that, this is fine.
I mean, I used to hate the Color Rush thing, man. I couldn't stand that.
But that was a thing. The night, and I remember Deadspin took the video and showed what it looked like for a colorblind person, and it was impossible to discern anything about the game.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get off our collective lawns. And Bears, the orange jerseys are fine, but get rid of those orange helmets, man. Those orange helmets and the orange jerseys is too much.
The one guy that I remember needed the white jersey, Vinny Testaverde, if you recall. This happened before you were born, but it did indeed occur. He was colorblind, so they always chose to wear the white jersey when he was in Tampa Bay. I assume that continued beyond. Didn't he play for the Browns at some point?
He did, yeah.
I think he played for every team at some point.
Probably, yes. He did play. He did play for the Browns. He's one of the quarterbacks after Bill Belichick decided to replace Bernie Kosar, which was a very controversial decision at the time.
Yes, I recall that vividly. The Cowboys, 6-2. I think Vinny Testaverde played for them at some point along the way as well. They scored touchdowns on their first 4 possessions for the first time since 2014. Dak Prescott had 250 passing yards, 34 rushing yards, 2 pass touchdowns, 1 rush touchdown. And how about Tony Pollard? Woo! 3 TDs and 131 rushing yards for him. There's Dak with the walk-in score. Dak is knocking the rust off. At one point I thought the best thing to do is let him stay out until after the bye, have him ready to go for the Packers, but then that rust factor comes into play. So he's gotten to face the Lions and the Bears. The Cowboys are on this tour of the NFC North. They've got trips to Green Bay and Minnesota left over the next 2 games, but they have a bye in between. Pollard getting it done. Zeke out. And, again, Jerry Jones, I don't know why. Jerry Jones has this fascination with Ezekiel Elliott. Maybe he's just trying to justify the guy's contract, but they really don't need him. They really don't. Not if Tony Pollard's going to play like this.
Well, look, I mean, what were we talking about with Christian McCaffrey running backs, right? They get hurt.
Yep.
So the more running backs that you have that you can turn to, that can get it done, the better off you're going to be. But, I mean, what's interesting to me, Mike, we keep seeing these huge stat lines from running backs this year. Like, are we seeing a resurgence of the running back? Everything in football is cyclical. But, I mean, like 130 yards for Tony Pollard. All these guys keep getting 100 plus, 120 plus. I think it's really cool to see the way that teams are running the ball because it allows you to control the game if you can really, really control what happens on the ground like that. So, yeah, I mean, look, the Cowboys are the Cowboys right now, and they're doing it with their offense. They're also getting really good contributions from their defense. You get a defensive touchdown from Micah Parsons. That's obviously going to tilt the scales in your favor whenever you can get a score from the defensive end.
And that was such a weird play.
It was.
With Justin Fields leaping over Micah Parsons and not touching him. That and is this it? I think this is it. The ball's out. Parsons has it. He's on the ground, and Justin Fields does the 2-legged hurdle, and then off goes Micah Parsons. And again, I can't fault Justin Fields because he's got to protect himself in that spot.
Right.
I don't know what he was supposed to do. Right. I think it's far better to have a healthy Justin Fields than it is to give up that 7 points. But, heads up play by Micah Parsons, and great job by the officials not blowing it dead in that spot, because that's not something you can review and say, oh, no, it wasn't dead. He scored a touchdown. So that was the dagger. There were several daggers. And the Cowboys, again, they let the Bears back into it a couple of times. But the Cowboys getting it done, getting to 6-2. I knew it was going to be a tough spot for the Bears coming off of that Monday night win over the Patriots. I feel like they went all in to win that game with the 11-day break after the Thursday night loss to the Commanders. And it's like, we'll worry about the Cowboys after this Patriots game. Our main focus is beating the Patriots, which was fine, but they didn't have enough. Which is
what you're
left.
supposed to do.
They did, but they didn't have enough left to go to Dallas, and they lost by 20. It was a big spread, and the Cowboys ended up covering it.
Yeah, and look, I think Justin Fields has looked a little bit better in the last couple of weeks. I mean, the offense, they seem to be tailoring it a little bit more to what his skill set is. I mean, it obviously was not to that same extent that they had against New England Patriots on Monday night, but at the same time, you're starting to see a little bit more flashes of what Justin Fields can be. So I guess that's encouraging if you're a Bears fan, but yeah, it's not like things are all sunshine and roses for Chicago right now.
Yeah, and another reason why the Vikings are basically running away with that division. And look, going into the season, the NFC seemed to be wide open for playoff spots. But right now, you've got the Cowboys and the Giants trailing the Eagles. That's a couple of wild card spots that kind of feel – I mean, that scrum for the 7th playoff spot. And we talked about the the Seahawks and the 49ers.
Yeah.
One of those two teams wins the division. The other one may be number 7 or 6.
Or out.
Or out of it. You could have let's look at it this way. Between the 2nd and 3rd place teams in the NFC East, the Packers, and the 2nd place team in the NFC West, one of those teams isn't getting in. One of those teams is going to be on the outside looking in. And then the NFC South, which is the new version of the NFC East with every team under 500, and one of these teams is going to win the division and host a playoff game, they're going to have a guaranteed spot. And obviously that's going to be the only path for Tom Brady and company is to win that division, to overcome the Falcons. We'll talk more about the Falcons-Panthers game later, which it really would have helped Tom Brady and company if that game had gone the other way. But that's Brady's only path in. So you could have both Brady and Rodgers out. And we haven't even mentioned the Rams. We're just treating them like they're already out. But coming into the season, NFC, the cream of the crop were the Rams, the Bucks, and maybe the Packers. And there's a way that these dominoes fall, and it's not all that crazy 8 weeks in that none of them make the postseason.
Yeah, well, I think usually all those teams are under 500 in the NFC South. I mean, the Falcons are at 500 at least.
That's true. That's true. You're right. That's right. I don't mean to defame the NFC South. The Falcons made it to 500.
Yes, they did make it to 500. So congratulations for that. You're not under the Mendoza line, if that's what we want to call it. Anyway, I feel like right now, if you're looking at these teams and you want to say, okay, which is going to be able to make it? Yeah, it's one of these weird situations where, don't count out the Washington Commanders either. They came back and they're 4-4 right now. So it could be, in theory, all 4 teams perhaps from the NFC East might make it into the postseason. How about that?
I have been musing about that possibility ever since they expanded the postseason field to 7 teams per conference. I thought the NFC West would be the team to maybe do it. Wouldn't it be something if 2 years after the NFC East was so bad, we were talking about removing the guaranteed home game for the champion of the division, and Washington hosted Tampa Bay, if all 4 teams would have a realistic shot at getting in? By the way, you mentioned the Mendoza line. That is a baseball reference with which I'm familiar. The career batting average of former Pirates infielder Mario Mendoza, 200. That's the Mendoza line.
I know.
And there was a time in the life cycle of PFT, which turns 21 tomorrow. We have outlived the return of the Locust by 4 years. We had a feature called the Cordoza line, because before quarterbacks actually got good, to me, the defining between okay and crap was the career passer rating of Cordell Stewart of 70.7. That was the Cordoza line. And there used to actually be starting quarterbacks on the wrong side of it. Doesn't happen very much anymore. Maybe there's 1 or 2 at any given moment, but it doesn't happen like it did 15 years ago, which is just a testament to the improvement in quarterback play.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.